What's going on, guys? Today getting back in the mic once again, and today we're gonna be doing another Butter Smoove installment. Well, was it Butter Smoove installment? And today we're gonna be talking about Dragon Ball Z Infinite World for the PlayStation 2. The final, my bad, I was about to say first, the final technical installment in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai series made by Demps. Now we're not gonna waste any more time and get straight into this. Now let's go by the mission, well, not the missions, the modes within the game, as we usually do. And the story mode this time is called Dragon Mission. Dragon Mission, like I just said, is the story mode of the game, and is broken up into the different Dragon Ball Z arcs, as well as the GT arc that it has, and the movies that they put into their own arc. It features cutscenes sometimes throughout the specific key points within the story. If it's a super major battle, that's when they have cutscenes, but for the most part you just get a mission synopsis and dive right into the fighting. Now it also has mini games along the way that progress the story and have things to do with the story, such as Goku having to catch bubbles on King Kai planet, or having to hit Greggy on the head with a hammer on King Kai's planet, or even the training mini games that you do, like when Goku's in the gravity chamber on the way to Namek, or when he's in the hyperbolic time chamber with Gohan. You know, you have different kind of training missions like that. You also just have mini games for the fun of it, like the Mr. Satan one, the Hercule Satan one, where you press the right buttons and you're supposed to fly up with the jetpack and all that. And you have the ones where you fly through rings when you're trying to get to a certain area within a time limit. Say like Gohan had to go somewhere and he had to be right there in order to get to the battle. He would have to fly through the rings in the mini games if they provided that in order for Gohan to reach that specific area. Not only Gohan has those, Goku has one in the very beginning of the game also, but we're not gonna talk about that, okay? We're just gonna get back into the meat of what I was talking about. So you may be asking yourself, well, since they don't always have cutscenes like Budokai 2 or 3, do they have text in order to portray the story in the way that the other, non-cutscene battles have? No, they don't. They don't use anything. You just dive straight into the battle. You see the little synopsis on the side. You pick your difficulty, you choose your skills, and you dive right into the battle. Now, each battle is split up into the two characters that fight at that specific time. It's not always just Goku. Goku is the one running around the map. You see a little map that you can run around in order to get to the specific fights, and but Goku is the one that runs around the map. However, say if it's a Trunks versus Mecha Frieza fight, Goku isn't going to be the one to fight Mecha Frieza, obviously. They're going to dive you in as Trunks, and you're going to be able to fight that way. That's really it for the story mode. The story mode goes all the way through GT, like I said. It includes the Baby arc, the Super Android 17 arc, the Shadow Dragons. It includes all of that. They actually have a bigger pool of GT characters as well in this game. And like I did say, the movies get their own arcs as well. Even though most of them don't have cutscenes, they do have the battles themselves, which makes for an even bigger character roster again, because you have people like Pikkon or Janemba joining the fight. So the character roster is actually much bigger. And while we're talking about character roster, let's go ahead and get into the gameplay. Now, the gameplay is very similar to that of its predecessor, which is Budokai 3. There are some changes made to it, such as there is no Dragon Rush, which I know a lot of people nowadays really appreciate about Infinite World, that there is no Dragon Rush. I never really found it too big of a problem, but it is gone. And Hyper Mode is kind of gone, although not kind of gone. There's this thing that they call Aura Burst, which is pretty much just like Hyper Mode, where you get a temporary, defense boost. I'm not gonna say invulnerability, because you can still get hit by ultimates, by supers, and you can still take damage. It just takes a full combo in order for you to get staggered. But they do have aura bursts, which work almost exactly, in fact no, exactly like the hyper mode did in Budokai 3. The 2.5D plane is also a lot freer now. You can you can key dash around the map now, well, around the stage now, and you know, you really feel like it's almost 3D, but it's not. Instead of having to, you know, sidestep to the side in order to rotate the map, you don't have to do that anymore. You can just simply rotate it, or you can key dash around, you know, to to get across the map. That also leads into new gameplay mechanics, such as the improved blocking system that they have, where not only can you block, but you can aura burst kind of while blocking in order to give yourself an even bigger defense, where you literally don't take damage, and if you know, it drains your ki and it fills up your stamina meter, which if filled up entirely too far, you do get fatigued, and it's a much better stamina meter than what was in Budokai 3, because in Budokai 3 it really didn't work. It's kind of confusing on how the stamina system actually does work. It's supposed to work by blocking in hyper mode, but you rarely ever get tired unless you come out of hyper mode. In Infinite World, you really have to watch your stamina meter, because if it fills up entirely too much, which it does fill up pretty darn quickly if you do ask me, it does start to take toll on your gameplay, and you will see that you're losing a lot of matches or taking entirely too much damage from trying to be a little too defensive, which I actually personally like. I don't like how the AI in Budokai 1, well, not Budokai 1, Budokai 3 really played on the defensive the entire time I tried to fight them, and you know, skilled players would get around that, but I'm not very skilled myself. I just like to have good matches. So the Infinite World style really balances out more the offensive and the defensive type of playstyles, which I really like. The combos are also a lot more free flowing because of the new way you can maneuver around the environment and the new guarding systems, like I said. Also, the the supers are back to the way they were in Budokai 2, where it's like you don't have to do Dragon Rush, you can just do combos that lead into them. Also, they do implement the thing here where it's like some supers, such as Kamehameha, instead of having that little flash where it's like Kamehameha and then it just automatically fires, with some characters you actually can charge it and cancel it, which again makes the combat fluid and more fast paced without having to waste too much ki or too much time doing stupid stuff. So I personally think that the combat in Infinite World is the best in any Dragon Ball Z game. In terms of fun and fluidity, I personally think that Infinite World has the best combat out of any Dragon Ball Z game to date. Now let's talk about the other modes. There is no World Tournament mode in this game. I'm really not sure why they did not include that. That is a big deal to me, because I feel like every DBZ game should have some kind of tournament mode. Infinite World lacked one, Battle of Z lacked one, Xenoverse lacks one, Burst Limit lacked one. I'm like, why? Tournament is a staple in the DBZ games. Once you finish the story and once you really have nothing to do, you're either going on online battles, offline battles, or in Budokai 3's case, in the older games case, World Tournament. Even now with like Raging Blast 2 and stuff, people still go on offline tournaments, online tournaments. The World Tournament is really a place where a lot of DBZ fans or people that play the game in general go in order to test their skills. Yes, they do go to offline dueling, but they also go to the World Tournament, because that is a great place to test your skills, to test your timing, because you really could get knocked out of the ring easily. So a world tournament is a great place to refine your timing skills and all that, and you know, that's taken out the game for some reason. They do introduce a new game mode called Fighter's Road, which I'm not personally too much of a fan of. It's kind of like Dragon Arena from Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, where you go around and you fight different opponents. Although there's no leveling system, I don't understand why they took that out. That would have been great in the game, in my opinion. Maybe not in story mode, but in Fighter's Road, you really could have had every character, you know, have the RPG elements. But hey, whatever. I mean, I guess they didn't want to implement that anymore, so they took it out. So hey, I can't do nothing about that. But yeah, Fighter's Road really doesn't interest me that much. What made Dragon Arena so fun was that you could level up any character and customize your characters any way you wanted to, which is what I found personally more enjoyable, because just fighting random leveled opponents, you know, that's pretty much dual mode. But at the same time, since you're leveling your character up, and since there are different leveled opponents and they have different stats and stuff, that's really what drew me in personally, and I really thought that was a cool addition to Dragon Arena. But they didn't bring that back in Fighter's Road, and Fighter's Road really feels kind of dull to me. The shop system is still the same, even though the skill customization is a lot better because of the new transformation system, which they have, where you only have to equip one transformation capsule, and that's how you transform. And they also split it up, so it's like you can only have a certain amount of each items, which really makes competitive play more out there, because it's like you can only equip this or not. Like, you can only equip one healing item, and you can only equip like two stat buff items, and you can only equip, you know, this amount of skills, so you can't equip all skills. You know, it really brings out the competitive side that Budokai 3 had, but it really, especially with the enhanced combat, in my opinion, it really brings it out more. But yeah, that's pretty much it to say about Infinite World. The character roster is great, the combat is great, the skill customization is great, the shop still the same bullshit with the RNG and all that. Fighter's Road really doesn't interest me, and the story is lackluster. So Infinite World as a game is half and half. As just a fighter, it's a great game. It is butter smooth. But as an overall game, I honestly can't say that Infinite World is a better game than Budokai 3, certainly not. And I would honestly say that Budokai 2 as a game is better than Infinite World, although I do think that Infinite World does do enough to be better than Budokai 1 in certain aspects. Budokai 1 still beats it out by a good margin. So understand what I'm saying, guys. Combat wise, Infinite World is the best game. Character roster wise, Infinite World is the best game. Content wise, it's really not that great. It's on Budokai 1's level, but Budokai 1, in my opinion, had a better story mode. So I don't really know where to rank it in terms of Budokai 1. I want to say it's better than Budokai 1 because I do enjoy the combat more, but at the same time, you get pretty much the same amount of replay value, so I really don't know which is better. Yeah, honestly, since this is the close of the Budokai series, I'm gonna rank them real quick. I rank Budokai 3 at the number 1 spot, Budokai 2 at the number 2 spot, Infinite World at the number 3 spot, and Budokai 1 in the number 4 spot for the top Budokai games out of this series. Hope you guys enjoyed the Budokai section of Was It Butter Smooth. Next, we'll be moving on to Burst Limit, and then, not Burst Limit, onto the Tenkaichi series, and then on to the PS3 side of things, starting with Burst Limit, then Raging Blast, all of that. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.